Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Nice seeing everybody here. And as some of you know, this is the second of a series of messages about the prayer book. Next week you won't get this. We'll be at Kemper Museum for our joint service with B'nai Yehuda and with Kol Ami. And they're not going to allow me to do this at the service. And I was told by Rabbi Kramer, she wants niyun, like a small message. And I don't understand small messages, so I'm contemplating not showing up instead of not embarrassing myself. Anyway, okay, so, most of us like to get gifts, unless we don't like the gifts that we're getting. When I was a child, I wanted only one kind of gifts, one kind of gift, toy guns. I had every type of toy gun. A toy gun that looked like a machine gun from World War II. My father was a World War II Army veteran, so when we watched like a World War II movie together or TV show, I would have my gun in my hands, ready to kill a Nazi soldier at a moment's notice. My toy gun collection went way beyond this. I had a cowboy-type rifle, and I very rarely played cowboy, but I had one. I had a variety of authentically looking squirt guns. This was my favorite. I had a toy gun that looked like the one James Bond used, and I had a shoulder holster. And I still wonder what happened to it. I still would want it. I will spare you more of my gun inventory. So I love toy guns, and I wanted more guns. And here was my great disappointment. When I got a present, a birthday present, a Hanukkah present, and I opened the box, and I saw that my aunt or cousin had decided to give me clothes. A sweater, a shirt. Why would I want a sweater? Get me another toy gun. Now, thank goodness I grew out of that stage, or they wouldn't have hired me as a rabbi of the New Reform Temple. I don't think, well, what do you do for recreation? I play with toy guns. But one of my dilemmas, this dilemma is really quite universal. Do we appreciate the gifts that we're given, or do we undervalue them or even resent the gifts? For the Jews, it's about our heritage. We have been given a gift. Do we value it? That is confronted in the second blessing before the Shema. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to open up to it in the Siddur. Let's open up for the time being to page 60. No, we don't want 61. That's going to be something else. Turn to page 16. Okay? Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael. And I want to offer the translation that is as literal a translation that I possibly can give. And it was done by Joel Hoffman in one of the series of wonderful books published by Larry Hoffman about the Siddur. And this is his best precise translation. It says, "You have loved the house of Israel, your people, with eternal love." Ahavat olam. It's hard to even translate it. Teaching us Torah and commandments, laws and rules. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we stand up, we will discuss your laws and rejoice in the words of your Torah and your commandments forever. For they are the life and the length of our days. We will meditate on them day and night. Never remove your love from us. Blessed are you, Adonai, who loves his people Israel. So it's a very, very beautiful prayer, it has a simple elegance to it. It has a certain simple theological affirmation. God loves the house of Israel. It is a special love, a unique love. And how do we experience this love? It's quite different than Christianity, in which God's love is experienced by saving the Christian from sin through some kind of supernatural intermediary. For Jews, we say ahavat olam, in ahavat olam, that God loves us by giving us instructions to live by. Torah and commandments, laws and rules, chukim u'mishpatim. They're not generalities or suggestions. They reflect the idea that God has given us specific things to do. They're not feelings, they're obligations, both ritual and ethical. Rabbi Elliot Dorff explains it this way. He says, it's best understood through the parent-child relationship. Parents establish and enforce reasonable rules for their children. A parent who fails to do this is not being kind, but really incompetent. A healthy human being needs rules, commitments, obligations, and expectations. Now, teenagers might rebel against the rules, but in the end, a parent knows that in establishing the rules and enforcing them is essential for the child. God loves us by giving us laws. And what are we supposed to do? Our entire day should focus on studying them, contemplating them. I like when they say thinking about them, contemplating them. Their relevance is eternal and comprehensive. We can never stop studying them according to the challenge of ahavat olam. And God can never withdraw that gift or our communal existence ends. And in the end, we affirm and thank God for God's special love of Israel shown through the laws. Just think about it. Last week, we spoke about, in the first paragraph before the Shema, the Mariv Aravim, it teaches us about the order of the universe, its universal statement. And this paragraph is just the opposite. It talks about how God makes a special demand upon the Jewish people to do certain things. Now, let's go to our Union Prayer Book for a second. And on page 16. And the Union Prayer Book that we use is very poetic. I don't know exactly the people who wrote the specific words, but they obviously were people with poetic sense and really are to be admired. So let's just look at what it says here. It says, infinite as is your power, even so is your love, and may be seen through the history of our people Israel. So we know of God's love through our historical experience. Interesting. That's a really interesting statement. Through laws and ethical precepts, through statutes and ordinances, you have led us in the ways of righteousness and brought us to light of truth. That statement isn't even in what I read to you. Therefore, our lying down and our rising up, we will meditate on the Torah's teachings, finding within it its inspiration and guidance for our daily lives. May your love never depart from our hearts. We praise you, God. You have revealed your love through our people, Israel. Then we have the Hebrew text here. Now, it does acknowledge that there are laws, but in the end it speaks about inspiration, guidance, not direction. The laws enlighten us. They lead us to certain religious truths. But what do they require of us? The sentence is added, you have led us in the ways of righteousness and brought us to light of truth. I'm not sure what that means. This statement reinforces Judaism as a pursuit of some ideal, but not a Judaism that seeks certain behavior based on commandments. You see the difference there? It's not that one is bad and one is good. It's that the original clearly is saying, you're obligated to do something, people of Israel. That's God's love, that's God's gift to you. And what our text is saying is, Yeah, there is the Torah and the commandments, but ultimately what it's seeking is a chain of your attitudes about life, a certain, about righteousness, something not as definite, beautiful, but not exactly what the original text is about. Then, on Shabbat number 3 in our book, I think they were on LSD. Okay, this is the LSD translation. Okay, and I guess I never took LSD, but I'm sure a lot of people have been very creative on LSD. I mean, don't tell me if you're taking LSD, but I heard it does wonderful things for some people. I know Cary Grant took LSD. My mother told me. Okay. So here we go. When justice burns like a flaming fire within us, when love evokes willing sacrifice from us, when, to the last full measure of selfless devotion, we proclaim our belief in the ultimate triumph of truth and righteousness, we are truly doing your will. This is beautiful. I'm not sure what it's saying. Okay, you live in our hearts, even as you pervade our world. So God, you're in our heart. Through righteous action, we offer living testimony to your presence. It's very beautiful. It has nothing to do, really, with the original prayer. So here's the deal. None of this is sacrilege. None of it is bad. None of it is dangerous. But they're not the real translations, and I think they weaken the prayer. They're changing what it means for us to act Jewishly. Because in our tradition, we're called upon to perform mitzvot, to study the mitzvot is central. In other words, we're called upon to say there are certain things we're called upon to do. Now, in Reformed translations, the focus is on religious feeling and doing righteous, and this is beautiful, but it's not the objective of the prayer. And so the question is that okay? My answer would be, considering the text is 2,000 years old, I'd be very reluctant to think I could improve on it. But that's just, and that's just me. I'm not saying you can't argue it the other way. And these translations are wonderful, and the new prayer book of the Reform movement, they have interesting things. But the question is, what's the prayer really about? The prayer really about is, do we think the tradition is a gift or not? God has given us something. Do we take it or live it, or we say it's too burdensome for us? So, as I said last week, when I read this prayer, I'm led back to my original dilemma. How much do I value the Jewish gift? How much do I value the obligations that I've been given to me out of love by God? Our prayer book seems to demand less of us. But what good is a religion that demands less? I want a religion to demand more of me. I want it to push me beyond what I think is my limit. I want it to make me sacrifice, or what is the point? Now, I started thinking about this in a very personal way, and I want to share with you two very personal issues that deal with this issue for me in terms of my observance of Judaism. Shabbat is central to my life. I can't imagine a week without Shabbat. We take it very seriously in our home. We eat special foods, we dress in special clothes, we don't use money, we don't shop, we don't cook, we don't go out to dinner. That's what we've always done. It's a day of contemplation, reading, and study. But this time of year, Shabbat is not over to 9:35 p.m. 9:35 p.m. And candidly, it often seems too long. But the Shabbat is a gift. Do I bend the rules or not? We choose not to bend the rules. If the commandment is a sign of God's love, how can I reject the gift? Or do I see it to be a gift or not? Here's another example. Passover. The Seder is wonderful. And we are very meticulous in how we observe Passover. Weeks of cleaning, weeks of covering, purging our house of chametz, selling what we cannot remove, special utensils, plates, pots, pans, kosher for Passover foods. We're enslaved. And we ask it of ourselves. James sitting back, we ask it every year. Is it worth it? But we're commanded according to Ahavat Olam. Do we see what we have as a burden or a blessing? It's not a simple question, but we dare not ask it. Now, I don't think that a serious Jew can live their Judaism without struggling with the question. And I don't know where the answer is. Every one of us in this congregation is free to make whatever decision they want. But it basically comes down to a simple question. Do I see Judaism as a gift or a burden? And here's the takeaway. Let's take our prayer book really seriously. Because it's got stuff in here that is amazing. And I'm about to retire. I can say anything I want. No. Okay. Within limits. But here's the deal. We need the prayers. We need to take them seriously. They're challenging. We want to be challenged by them, or why do we come to worship? So in 2 weeks, you're going to hear a little bit more of my philosophy on the prayer book. So if you don't like my philosophy, go to another synagogue. But of course, you like my philosophy, of course, because you're here. And but again, it's a pleasure to share some words of Torah about the prayer book, and I think we're doing the right thing.